Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 48 of Parenting Autism. I'm joined by my lovely wife, Sandy Coulter. Hi, Sandy.
Hey, Chris.
We have a lot of stuff to cover.
Seems like we've had a lot.
I know.
In the last couple of weeks, doesn't it?
I mean...
Like, my list is long today.
Well, let's get to it. No commercials.
Yeah, we don't have commercials. Oh, my goodness. I'm really not even sure where all to begin, but we've had a lot of things going on. So maybe we'll start with what was most recent, which would have been taking Bryce to the dentist yesterday for his first experience at a dental office.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
So to prepare for that, we did get a social story. Does ABA team provide that for us?
No. No, we watched YouTube videos.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Well, all over social media where I put the videos, I said we did it with a social story. But I guess we used a visual aid to help prepare him. Mm-hmm. So we used a video, which is great because he responds well to seeing in advance what was going to happen.
Yeah, I just typed in dentist visit for kids, and this wonderful video came up that this lady recorded her toddler going into the dentist office, and it was just a happy experience.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to show that Bryce, that's what it was going to be like. And it did not disappoint.
It did not. And he knew that they would count his teeth and would get them clean.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what he anticipated and pretty much what they did. We really haven't worked with him on doing any flossing.
No.
There really hasn't been much of a need for
brushing,
that.
Yeah.
But they did that with him, and now we'll introduce that concept to him. But yeah, it was a great office.
We got there. They had video games for the kids to play, like the old-fashioned Pac-Man and some other type of video game. And then they had tablets. If the kids wanted to use a tablet. Of course, it's COVID and everything, where we're wearing a mask, but we're still sharing the machines and stuff. You just sanitize your hands or whatever. So we didn't wait long at all, and then they called us back, and they had it was an open area with like 3 or 4 dental chairs. And I think, was Bryce the only one getting worked on at the moment? I think he was. And then across from the chairs was a bench along the wall where parents would sit and watch their children as they were getting serviced.
Yeah, and you didn't even notice that above each of the chairs was a flat screen TV. They had SpongeBob SquarePants. That's why there was a lot of noise going on in there. I will say it was noisy. So if you're, if Bryce he did well with the noise because normally he can be sensitive to that.
I think that because it was a new experience, there was a lot of things to take in besides the noise. So it wasn't that obvious to him. Yeah. But I did hear the program going on. I just didn't realize where the TVs were, and they were in the ceiling pointing down at the chair. So when the kids are back in the chair, they look up at the ceiling and they can watch it. But Bryce had no interest in that. He was more about the dental instruments, what they did, and the suction in the water and the pedal that she stepped on to make it go. Boy, that was all
the
good
dentist
stuff.
Even pointed out he's very inquisitive. We're like, yes, he is. So he wanted to know every tool, how it worked. He got to press the pedal. He got down on the floor to examine the chair so he could see how all the buttons worked on the chair. I think his favorite part of the whole thing was the air sucker, where it goes in your mouth and the air comes in and
he got out of when she put that back. He even got out of the chair to go back over there and use it again.
Some more, I know.
She showed him how to use it and all that, where the switch was.
So it was definitely a great positive first experience.
And we had a great dental hygienist. She was amazing.
Fabulous. Yes, she was. So, we drove about it's almost an hour from our home where we went, because they had come highly recommended and
covered by his insurance.
Covered by his insurance, but we wanted to make sure that we had a great dental office to take him to.
And this was his first visit to the dentist, so we didn't know what to expect for him, what kind of condition his teeth were in. We knew he had good teeth because we don't give him sweets like hardly ever.
Right.
And so he eats good, he brushes his teeth, and he got a good report.
Yeah. And we wanted it to be a good first experience and not where we're taking him because he had a problem.
Right.
So that way, but we didn't feel like we needed to take him when he was 4 years old or even 5 years old because we wanted him to be able to comprehend a little bit more.
Exactly. And he wasn't really communicating back then to where he could tell us his fears, his thoughts.
Right.
You know, now that he watched the video, he understood more about what was going to happen, and he was able to ask questions and look at it. And even going down there, you know, he knew that the dentist was going to count his teeth. He was kind of excited about the whole idea. And I was like, great, that's what we want.
Yeah, it was all very positive. And he has to go back in 6 months, and he said he's excited, you know. He's good with going back, no problem. The next time, they're going to plan to do x-rays because they want to have like a baseline of where his teeth are and have the pictures. We didn't do it yesterday because we felt like everything went so smooth. So
we didn't want any hiccups.
Yeah, let's not do that. And it really wasn't necessary.
Right.
So, you know, that's just advice out there to all the parents listening who maybe are on the fence or haven't even thought about planning. You know, do it in baby steps if you can. And, you know, for us, this definitely worked out best to take him when he was a little bit older.
And you posted the video. So, I mean, you could show your kids Bryce's video.
Yeah. Which leads me to, we also decided to take on really using YouTube for YouTube videos. That was something that we had kicked around last year, but just too much on the plate. But I feel now also that Bryce is talking more, and now people can really get a sense of Bryce and his world more so than a year ago, where we were kind of narrating what he was doing.
Yeah.
Now he can talk more. And so I just find that it's more interesting. So we posted one last week actually of him brushing his teeth at home and that whole process, because that's been going really well. And we had mentioned on the last podcast that we had the visual, like the pictures for him to follow, which sections to brush, and he counts.
That's
and all
really
that good
helped.
stuff. And then I posted the video for his first trip to the dentist. I did it in 2 parts. I recorded him with the dental hygienist, and then I recorded him with the dentist.
Yeah, so if you Google parenting, or not Google, but if you go to YouTube and look for parenting autism, you should be able to find those videos.
You might be able to Google and find it too. Maybe. But it is YouTube videos. Yeah, so that's something new. I think I also... Yeah, I had another one I put of him swimming with you because we wanted to just show the progress of that. But that's something that I'm going to start using more. We had talked briefly last week. I don't do Twitter. I don't tweet. I don't do much on Instagram because they don't allow longer videos. I mainly do Facebook, but YouTube makes perfect sense. I can upload it onto YouTube. It's longer videos, and then I can just share that link on Facebook. So I'm finding that works for me. It's not too much time.
I'm going to segue into kind of a commercial. Bryce, we started Cub Scouts this month.
That's another highlight.
Yeah, he's very excited about it. He's got new friends. We're meeting virtually now, but September 1st, we're going to meet in person with the Pinewood Derby cars race. And so we're working on his car right now. He wants it to be Lightning McQueen. So I kind of use the power tools, and he holds my hand on the tool, like as we're doing it together, so that he can get that experience. And he's wearing his swimming goggles as eye protection, which is perfect. And then he's got his earphones on for the sound.
You use the loud tools.
So we've been working on that, and I think we're about ready for paint. So we're going to go to the store later today and pick out his paints,
exciting.
Which he's really excited about. Which leads me to, I think Cub Scouts is going to be so good for him. And we're doing a fundraiser for him right now. He is selling popcorn for his pack.
Isn't it other things also?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's fundraising to help other kids, low-income kids, become scouts. It's fundraising to do service projects, to clean up parks, to do food drives. So,
and is it also that they can purchase things other than popcorn on that store?
Yeah, I think there's some chocolate.
There were like some chocolates and other things too for those who just don't want popcorn. Okay.
So if we got a domain name for him, so it's called Bryce.world. And if you type that in your computer, it's not Bryce.com, but Bryce.world. So www.bryce.world. As a matter of fact, you can pause this podcast right now. Go to your browser.
So
but that's where his storefront is, and you can order those items online, and they ship directly to you. So there's no middleman. You order it, you buy it right there, they ship it right to you, and it goes toward Bryce's Scout Pack.
I mean, I explained it to you, like my perspective of this, because obviously I've donated to kids throughout my lifetime, and I used to get donations for our jogathon.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like you're donating to the Scouts, and it does help Bryce with his dues for his for him being a Scout.
Right.
So it helps him directly, or our family. It also helps the Scouts, and it's not about getting. It's really like you're donating and you're getting a gift, because you know who spends $20 on popcorn or chocolate. I don't. So I look at it like I'm giving $20 to a wonderful cause, and then in turn popcorn. I get something for it. So that's really the way to look at it.
It's not going to be the same price as your grocery store shelf.
No,
because you're donating.
It's
the
like
Scouts
getting a gift for your donation.
Exactly.
Is basically it. So choose what you might want to, how much you want to donate, and what kind of gift you like to get in return.
We're having fun with that, and if you're listening in the future, this promotion thing that he's doing, or fundraising thing, goes through the end of October 2020. So if you're listening after that, then, well, it's over.
Maybe next year. Because hopefully he'll take to Scouts, and this will be something that he will grow with. So let's segue now into the Scout story here, because last year we had also kicked this can of making him do Scouts, or letting him do Scouts, I should say.
Right.
But we didn't follow through, because we took him to a meeting as a guest, and he was just so disconnected from the whole thing. Yeah. As much as you were excited about it, I felt like it was so stressful having him there and just trying to force him to have awareness while we were there.
They were building rockets, which he liked, but he was just not there. I don't know. He was just zoning out. It was a
complete disconnect.
He
wanted nothing to do with it. Zero interest, zero friends. And we were trying to say, these are friends. And, because we were doing it a lot for the social aspect at that time as well.
He just wasn't ready at that time.
No, not at all.
But the good news is, with Scouts, you can find a local den, and you can attend one of their meetings or activities for free to see if your child likes it.
Right. So this year we decided, okay, let's try this again. And you did your research online as far as like which troop we would want to join. And so a couple of key things that we were looking into was we wanted him to be, we would like it to be close if possible. I mean, convenience is important, but we would drive further if it met his needs. But we also wanted a smaller group for him, because again, if it's too many people or too many kids, he could get kind of lost in the mix and get overwhelmed. And so we found one that's at a little Baptist church near where we live, so it's not far at all. Everyone that we have talked to in this particular troop has said we're like a family, very warm and inviting, and I'm sure that I hope that happens with all the troops, but this has been...
troops are Girl Scouts and packs are Cub Scouts. Yeah,
well, just correct me there. Sorry, I was a Girl Scout when I was little, so let's change it.
I'm new to this, so...
No, you're probably right.
Okay.
Because they're all animals. My apologies for all of you Scouts out there that I just offended. I so didn't mean to do that.
It's okay. We're new to this. We've only been doing it less than a month.
Let me change it to pack. Yeah. But I'm kind of giving a little backstory on this, because I feel like there has been a lot of legwork to go into this, and we didn't just dive in blindly. And another thing was, so Bryce, he has his birthday in October. And so, with school and cutoff in age, he really would be going into, a lot of kids his age would now be going into second grade. If they were born in August, they're going in second grade, where Bryce is going into first grade.
He was born in October. Yep.
Right. But more importantly, where is he at on the social scale of things? And so that was another kind thing they did. They gave us the book for the lions, which is the youngest group in the first year.
Yeah.
You
So
can
what we had to do was
tiger.
We had to write a letter explaining.
Well, after we read it, because once I read the books, I said to you, I don't think that
he's ready.
He's going to do well with the tiger. And you said, well, why? And I gave you one specific example because I saw that they have a game that they play and they all take off their shoes. They keep one, I guess they take off one shoe and one shoe goes into the middle of the pile. And you're like, well, he can do that. And I'm like, yeah, he can do that. But they have to take a shoe out of there and then match that shoe up with another kid and then start asking questions and having conversations. And for Bryce to just do that on the fly, I think that's a little bit beyond him. And I didn't want to set him up for failure and something that's going to be new to him. So that's why I said, can we go with just the very first year, even though I know he's going to be by far the tallest and definitely the oldest in the pack.
We were in agreement.
For his group, for the Lions, I felt like that was the best way to go. So now you can proceed and say what you did to get that exception.
We both looked, the Scoutmaster was very generous and lent us the lion book and the tiger book. We looked through both of them. We said, oh, okay, well, the lion book was very basic, but the tiger book was a little too much for him. So again, this all goes back to where your child is and what they're ready for, and that's how you do it, trial and error. So we thought starting out that we did want to start basic just so that he can get an idea of the Scouts, the Scout Oath, the salute, all that jazz. And so she said, if you write a letter stating why you think he should go down a level, into the kindergarten class stage in the Lions, then, they would consider putting him there. I said, okay, no problem. So I wrote a full-page letter explaining Bryce and how he is and what we thought about putting him into Lions, and it went through without a hitch. They approved him for Lions, and we have a great group of kids in that pack, and our den, as we call it, and it's going to be great. We're so excited.
Well, and one of the reasons that we listed in the letter that we wanted to also let him start as a lion versus a tiger is because once you're into the first grade tiger class, pack, den, whatever, he has to wear the button-up shirt. It's not an option.
Right. That's true.
Bryce is not a fan of button-up shirts. He is very hit and miss, and it's more miss than hits. I have to really talk him into something to get him to wear a button-up shirt. Yeah. And so we even showed him the shirts and said, which one would you like to do? And he was all about the T-shirt versus the button-up shirt. So that gives him a year to adjust. And then when it's time, we can tell him next year, okay, now you're going into, as a tiger, you got to button up. And he'll be totally prepared for that. But to just throw him into something that he's going to dread doing every Tuesday, we just really didn't want to do that for him. And I also learned after the fact that when you're in the first grade tigers, it's mandatory that you say the pledge and the oath,
Scout Oath
and something else, right?
Yep.
Where when you are kindergarten and
Scout
lion, it's optional and they encourage it, but they're kind of grooming you and teaching you to do that. So that's what Bryce needed.
And that's what Bryce needed. And that's where he's at socially and academically.
Yeah, and he's very excited that you're going to go camping. He is talking about that, and he keeps talking about, Bryce is all about dates, so once you tell him he's doing something on a certain date, he pretty much counts on it happening. So, October 23rd. But yeah, so that's another big thing that's happening. Chris is nodding his head at me saying, move on to the next subject. Is that what you're doing there? I'm going to tell the people because you keep doing it to me. That annoys me.
Sorry.
It's okay. So anyway.
What else we got?
We'll move on.
Well, we had a lot to get through.
Well,
so
I know.
I know.
Those were big things.
Women have more words than men.
Thank
it's just a fact.
Your headlines, I'm the details.
That's right.
Thank you. Next. All right, on my list of things here. So, we have referred in past podcasts to Bryce's behaviors as the game of whack-a-mole. And if anybody's not familiar with that, it's a game where this little mole pops up and you take a cushioned mallet and you knock it back down, and then another one pops up and you knock it back. And the same mole may come up repeatedly even after you knocked it down. We feel like our home has become the land of whack-a-mole the past few weeks because there have been behaviors that we thought we had knocked down, and they've been down for a while, and then they've been popping back up. So we've been trying to work on those things. And if you've been on this autism journey for any period of time, you probably can relate to this. But a few things that have come up lately that we're working on would be that Bryce is dropping to the floor again in very dramatic fashion if something doesn't go quite the way that he's expecting it to go. And he also, the other day when he did a drop, I recorded it for his ABA team. And the reason why I record these things is because when they're doing his plan and they're reviewing stuff, they have to quote unquote see what's happening, or they can't document it. Mm-hmm. So when you think that they're spending 10 to 15 hours on a good week with him out of all the time that he has, they're not going to see all of the behaviors that we see and that he does that he needs help with. But if we record it and then we show it with them along with what happened before and what happened after, because they're always looking for that, and I understand that, it gives it context, then they can put that in the notes and work on it. So I started recording it, and I actually thought when I started to record him that he would stop the behavior, because he does not like for
being reported.
He doesn't like being reported. He doesn't like Miss Melanie seeing him doing things he's not supposed to. That's
reported.
True. And what happened in this particular case was you had asked him a couple of different times to give you his iPad so that he could eat his dinner, and he wasn't listening. And so you just, after ample warnings, which you did give him, you took it. Well, then the floor drop and all the drama. Mm-hmm. So I know that we have been told, ignore the behavior, which we've discussed that on here before and how difficult that can be. But we were like, we addressed it, then we just kind of sat there and continued to eat our dinner. We tried to change the topic. We tried a couple of different things. So then when I started recording, I really thought that would change it. But instead, no, he really was upset. He was kind of beyond that point. He was hiding under the rugs on the floor. And then what probably disturbed me the most was then he told me he said, will you cut me? And I'm like, will I cut you? No, I'm not going to cut you. And I remained calm with it. And why won't you cut me? I'm not going to cut you because I'm never going to hurt you, that sort of thing. But it still upsets me when I hear him say things like that.
Yeah.
And even though I know he doesn't really want me to cut him, or he doesn't really want to cut himself or endanger himself, when I even hear him make reference, and maybe it is for a reaction, I really don't always know why he says the things he says or what he's thinking. It's still always very upsetting to me that he says things like that.
I think that he may have some underlying self-injurious behaviers in there, because sometimes he'll like pinch himself really hard.
He was trying to poke his own eye a couple of weeks ago, like hard, and he won't do it, but he's like right on that verge of like he wants to do it.
So that's an
but
issue.
He knows he won't do it. And that's something we have brought to their attention as well. But how do we handle that? Mm-hmm. That's really what we're seeking. Okay, we know these behaviors are happening. How do we handle it? So we were finally able to get him off the floor. We offered him an icy freeze pop if he ate all his dinner. Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, you also had already set a timer. When you took the iPad, you told him he'd get it back in 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. So he knew there was an end to it. Mm-hmm. But most of that 10 minutes, about 8 of those 10 minutes, he was on the floor doing his drama. Mm-hmm. And then we said, if you hurry, you can beat the clock, and then you can have an ice pop when you finish your dinner. And Bryce likes to do races. He likes games. It got his mind onto a different track, which we've talked about that before. You just got to change his way of thinking and get him off that broken, that scratch on the record. And so anyway, we got him there, and we got out of that situation, and it didn't come back again for the rest of the night, but it was still a little disturbing. When I showed my mom that video because I was actually showing her something else, and then it was there. And I said, oh, well, maybe I'll show you this. And then Bryce was sitting there. Then Bryce wanted to watch it, and he had this little
smirk.
Yeah, a little smirk on his face. So then I'm like, And then he wanted me to put it on his iPad so he could watch it over and over again. I'm like, yeah, no, we're not watching it anymore, and I'll delete it. I don't know why he seeks that. So there's,
we need to tell ABA about that.
Yeah, because there's just still really odd things. Like, why would he want to watch himself doing that over and over again? But another whack-a-mole behavior that's come back up is like he started chewing the collars of his shirt again. That's happened a couple times. At least this time, he's taking off his shirt because he doesn't like it soaked. But then when the first time I'm like, why'd you take your shirt off? He goes, it's wet. And then I looked and he had totally soaked the collar again. Last year, around this time, he was doing it and he was chewing holes in his shirts. Mm-hmm. And that was really upsetting. But as I've just said that out loud to you as I'm talking, this time last year was when we were dealing with the anxiety from the thunderstorms because the thunderstorms are so bad this time of year.
Well, plus the dentist said that he did have some new teeth in the back. So that may have contributed.
I don't know. I think, probably anxiety related. Plus his finger's been going in his mouth. We didn't know if that was because of teeth or if that was because of anxiety. So we've kind of been targeting anxiety. Okay. What can we do to help him with that? So Miss Melanie from his ABA team, she created like this, she called it a sensory bottle, I believe. So it's a water bottle that she put glitter, and then she knows that Bryce likes rocket ships and stuff, so she really was very thoughtful.
She found some rocket ship erasers, and she put glue in there. And so it's kind of like you squeeze or look at the bottle whenever you're upset about things.
Yeah, so we did a test run with her. There was some rain in the area, and so she sat in the back seat with him while Chris drove, and then she told him, if you get upset when there's a thunderstorm or something's upsetting, just hold this bottle. And not so much to look at it, but to hold it. So we were driving home from the dentist yesterday, and there was a rainstorm, and it was a hard rain, like the kind where you can't see out the front windshield, the kind I don't like, and Bryce handled it so well. And then when I turned around, I said, were you okay with that? And he said, yes, I held my bottle so I wouldn't be scared. So I just want to say that sometimes, like if I looked at that, I would think really that's going to work for him.
Right.
But for him, it does work. And I would have never in a million years thought of that on my own.
There was no thunder. But like you said, it was a heavy rain, and he did grab that. It was sitting next to him on the seat, and it gave him comfort.
It did, and I'm so happy you put that back in the truck because it had left the truck for a few minutes or for a couple of days. So those are just really good things that have been happening. But I'm telling you, there's just been a lot of stuff going on, a lot of behaviors, and we're just trying to find ways to help him with each one. And we did have a longer chat with his BCBA earlier this week, and I'm glad we had that chance because I feel like Bryce, as he's getting older, we are coming upon new behaviors, some things that are coming back, but we're having to handle them in a different way because he's at a different age and he's at a different development. So how we treated it a year ago or 2 years ago, we have to do differently now. And she even said, yes, at this age, as in her job, you have to bring your A game. You have to think outside of the box. You have to dig deeper to help these children at this age because it's not the same as when they're 2, 3, 4, and even 5 years old. So we're in the process of getting a new ABA tech for Bryce because Miss Melanie has a change in her schedule. So, we're just trying to figure out who's going to be the best match for Bryce. And that's really important when these changes happen. And as parents, you should be involved in the decision making. And so they were going to assign somebody. Actually, they had assigned somebody to Bryce, and we hadn't met her yet. But you asked the question, how much experience does she have? And then when we learned that she was new, as I explained, I have no problem with somebody being new because everybody has to learn their job and start somewhere. And I think it's great that she's entered this field. And I'm sure she's going to get her experience, but I would rather have somebody that's more experienced to work with Bryce, because you and I, we can figure out a lot of things, but we need someone that has more experience and can bring their A game, as she put it, and can think where we don't think.
In life, you have education and you have experience. If you're just coming out of school with the education, there's a lot that you're going to learn through experience. And we have had this experience for the past 4 or so odd years with Bryce and all of his behaviors. So I feel like we would be ahead of the game for anyone just coming out of school, and it probably wouldn't be the right fit for us. We need somebody with a little more experience under their belt who does have their A game, can think outside the box, has been in the field,
with us.
and can brainstorm with us, So as you suggested, maybe that person would be good for somebody who is just diagnosed, where there is a lot of things to tackle that they can use their education to be cut and dry. Okay, well, when you're first diagnosed, this is what we do, and they follow the schedule, So I agree with you that that's probably a better placement for that person. And then hopefully they can find somebody for us that has a little more experience.
Yeah, so we're kind of in limbo because Bryce, he's very smart and he's very clever, and he can be manipulative to get what he wants, as we all can. But I'm telling you, the kid he can be a step ahead of you, and he can play you, and you don't even know he's playing you. And that's what we were telling her, and we were giving her some of those examples. So I'm going to share a couple on here.
Okay.
Because they were kind of funny.
Yeah, especially the ignore,
we'll see if you can relate
one.
Yeah. So the other night when we were going to bed, Bryce started his 20 question game again. And Bryce, I'm telling you, he has taken his inquisitive personality to another level. He is asking questions all the time, which is wonderful. We've told him that's how he learns, and so he does. And so, but he'll get stuck on a certain topic, and then he'll ask you repeatedly all kinds of questions about that particular topic.
And the same questions.
And sometimes they're the same questions.
Yeah.
So this particular night, he was asking about the church. What did he call it? Chapel?
We have a town hall near us in a small community, and it kind of looks like a church. Yes. So he calls it the church tower.
The church tower. That's what he called it. I'm sorry. I was trying to think of it. So it has a bell up in the top, like in the steeple. And so he says, out of the blue, he starts asking all these questions about the church tower. And we had to figure out what he was talking about. Okay, so he wanted to know what color the door was. He wanted to know who goes inside of it. How do you get the key? Who can let you in? Can you go in at nighttime? Can you go in at daytime? I mean, the questions were just flowing and flowing and flowing. So at a certain point, you got to remember, this is bedtime, so we're all ready to go to sleep. And for those who are maybe newer to the podcast, Bryce does sleep in our room, but he's in his own bed, but in our room. So, it's
and when he turns 7, he knows he's coming to his own room.
Yeah, we prepared him for that. So, although I will miss him. So anyway, so he's there at night, and he doesn't really want to go to sleep. And he just has questions going in his mind. So at a certain point, Chris is like, okay, buddy, you can ask me 3 more questions, and then we're all going to sleep. And you can't ask Mommy questions, because then he'll ask me questions. Mommy's already asleep.
And you can ask me 3 questions, and then I'm going to sleep.
That's it. So he goes, okay, what color is the door? So Chris says, white. What color is the key? Silver. What color is the bell? Gold. What color? Nope, that was your 3 questions. Okay, I'm going to sleep now. I love you. Good night. So it was quiet for a minute. Then Bryce started asking more questions. Daddy, more questions. Daddy. And a little bit more, Daddy. And then he says, Daddy, you're ignoring me. Daddy,
that's not nice. It's not nice.
So you started laughing, and you said, all right, I'm sorry. I shouldn't ignore you, but I told you can't ask any more questions. We have to go to sleep.
That's the first time I heard him use the ignore word.
It was the first time he's called out the ignoring, and to say it wasn't nice. And he's right. It's not nice to ignore. So you acknowledged him. Mm-hmm. So then he goes, Daddy, ask me a question. So you said, okay. And I don't even remember what question you asked him, but you asked him a question. There was silence, and Bryce goes, I'm ignoring you. I'm not answering your question. Totally took you in.
Oh, my goodness.
He played you.
It was so funny.
Yeah, then we all started laughing. So
Yeah.
then he knew I was awake too, but it was hilarious.
It was
and that's
hilarious.
just, he's so smart. Yeah, so that was a really good one. We love that.
Never underestimate your kiddo.
No, and then we were talking about how his personality is shaping, and you know, if you're familiar with autism, a lot of times people on the spectrum are very literal. Like whatever you say is very, very literal, because we've had that with our nephew. And so with Bryce, we're starting to see that more and more. So he did have a wedding accident in his bed this week, which hasn't happened 6-9 months. I can't even remember last time it happened.
Right.
It's rare. But something happened and he didn't make it to the potty and he peed. And so I got all his sheets and I got everything into the laundry room. And Bryce loves laundry. I mean, the kid loves, and he knows every button on the machine. And so he knows if you have wet sheets, you do sanitize, because it says on there extra hot water, because he wanted to change the water. So I said, it says extra hot. So we had we had everything washing and he was sanitized. The stuff was sanitizing and we're good. So then I wanted him to go right into the shower, but Bryce is again very structured and routine. And we just started this visual schedule for him. And so it has on there that he eats breakfast and then he takes a shower. Mm-hmm. And if you try to mix that up on him, it's not going to go over well. But I really wanted him to get into the shower for the obvious reasons. It wasn't going to happen. So I'm like, well, then you have to at least put on underwear while you eat your breakfast. That's fine. So I get him in his underwear. Well, he wouldn't just sit in underwear. He had to have shorts and a shirt. Like he had to complete getting dressed, because he can't do anything incomplete. And that's just like sidebars, because I didn't realize how rigid he is. Like sometimes I don't think he is that rigid, and yet he is. Mm-hmm. You know, he has to finish some things or he just loses it. He melts.
Yeah.
So anyway, we get him dressed. And then you take him to the shower.
Yep.
So then when you went in, what happened there?
I told him to go brush his teeth, which he did all by. I'm trying to get him to do everything all by himself now. So he brushed his teeth all by himself, got done that. He turned the shower on all by himself, and he was in there. And so I try to leave him in there by himself so he can...
He knows the routine.
He knows the routine, but he's still having trouble in the shower. He just starts thinking about things or spacing out, and so I have to keep him moving. So I go to check on him, and he's got super hot water on going. And I'm like, Bryce, I said, this is really hot water. And what did he say?
He said, I'm sanitizing.
He said, I'm sanitizing. I'm like, what? And so he thought because the laundry needed the extra hot water that he needed the extra hot water.
Because he knew
because
he had
of the pee
on him.
And that's what he said, because of the pee. I need to sanitize because of the pee. And I'm like, no, buddy. I said, you just need soap. You know, I'm going to turn the water down to, warm, not scorching. But anyway, that was funny.
It was funny. Yeah. Bless his little heart. So, yeah.
So let me segue back to our visual schedule while you're thinking about what's next. Our ABA made a visual schedule for us, and it turns out like we had 20 Velcro squares, and we had this 8x10 sheet of paper to put them on, and only like 9 squares would fit on the paper. And I'm like, wow, we got to change out these squares all the time, because we got get up, get dressed, eat
morning,
breakfast,
afternoon,
we got
evening,
the morning,
all
the whole. I'm like, I need to have I need to have the whole day in front of me. I'm not going to sit here and fiddle with these squares.
I know,
all day. And so I went to Michael's. I got a piece of poster board, a foam board actually, and it had a black side and a white side, and I asked Bryce to choose which side he wanted for his squares, and he chose the white side. And I said, okay. So I set it up for the whole day. I put I don't know, 30 Velcro squares on there, so that we could put the squares for the daily routine.
Gotcha.
And so now we can see the whole day in front of us, and he looks forward to that. Every morning he comes out
loves it.
and he reads the whole schedule, and if there's something on there he doesn't understand, what are we doing for project, Daddy? What does project mean? And I'll say, okay, well, that means that today we're working on your Lightning McQueen Pinewood Derby car, so we have to do some sanding. And okay, Daddy. And so he'll ask about different things that are on his schedule. And he really likes that. He likes it a lot more than I anticipated he would.
He likes it, and he thrives on it. Like, he looks forward to it. Now, today, I made a little mistake because I think we're learning as we're going. But we probably should set this up at night. But I guess we can't because we finish at night. So that's the problem. We have to set it up before he gets up.
Yeah.
Get it in order. Because he had asked earlier, where's my schedule? He wanted to see what was going on for the day, and you were busy doing one thing, and
so, we're usually up before him, so I normally take care of that during the week. But it's Saturday
when we don't. So when this happens, so he
happens.
was with his Mr. Tom for music therapy, and I thought, oh well, I knew what was going on pretty much for the afternoon, but we didn't do school yesterday because we went to the dentist, so I didn't have your school stuff on there. And I did mean to say, hey, babe, if you want to put any squares on, you should do it now. But that conversation didn't happen. So instead, Bryce comes in and he sees music therapy, and then he sees lunch, and then he's like, oh, there's no school today.
There was no spaces between music
I
therapy
didn't leave you
and
any,
lunch or
because
nothing.
I really had no idea what you wanted to do.
It was all put together.
It's true. So then Bryce was like, yes.
No daddy school today.
You can't put it
what?
on there.
What
There's
are you talking
no
about?
squares.
He's like, it's not on the schedule, Daddy. There's no daddy school. I'm like, oh, no.
Then he's like, don't put it on the schedule. It's not there.
Oh, here he comes.
Hey, bud.
Mommy,
Yes?
I'm done with my feet, Tom,
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. You did a great job.
to see what's happening.
Yeah, you want to see
came
what's
in to
happening
what's
in here?
happening? Do you want to say hi to everybody?
We're doing the podcast.
Yeah.
We're telling them about your visual board. You like that?
Your schedule.
Your schedule. You like your schedule?
We'll be all done after I talk to them.
Yeah, you want us to be done?
Uh,
We're almost done. Go ahead. You want to talk to them?
Be careful.
Okay. What do you want to say? What do you think?
I do have daddy school.
Yeah, you did
Yeah,
have
you
daddy
did.
school today, didn't you? What did
Hi,
you do at daddy
people.
school today?
Hi, people.
Can you tell them what you did today?
And I did some I did the pictures of soccer ball,
Yeah.
and we have fun playing with mommy and daddy.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so we have fun. It was about we have about 1 minute to talk, and then mom and dad will finish about.
We'll finish the podcast.
Yes.
Are you giving us
So,
1 minute?
what did we do in daddy school today?
I did about science and language arts.
Science and language arts.
What do we look at under the microscope?
A caterpillar.
Yeah,
he
that was cool. What was he
eating-
doing? That caterpillar.
The caterpillar was the
Was he eating something?
yes,
What
was
was
he-
he eating?
eating leaves,
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
eating
he was eating-
leaves.
and then we have fun talking to the people.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were talking to the people.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see, have fun.
Okay.
Okay, you have to be all done when I stop talking to them.
Oh,
Well, can I
okay.
wrap up? That would be the nice thing to do.
How many minutes do we need, Mommy?
How many
do you want
minutes
to tell
can I
them?
have? Can I have like 4 more minutes?
About 1 minute.
You
About
giving
1
me
minute?
1 minute?
Okay, well, you go out there, and then we'll be done soon, okay?
We'll be all done in about 1 minute.
Yeah,
Okay.
in about 1 minute.
All right, we'll be done in about 1 minute.
Sounds
Can you
good.
close the door? Can you close
Go
the
ahead.
Bye, people.
door? Okay, close the door. Close the door.
Close it, please.
Close the door. Okay, thank you.
So funny.
That was our special guest.
There you go. That was
Okay.
Bryce Coulter
Yes.
making an appearance.
What else we got?
Actually, I don't want to push it too long because he really will hold us to the minute.
Sure.
But I think we hit about everything. only thing else I wrote down here is like him doing the scripting on that game. What should you do?
Oh, we're past that now.
Yeah.
I mean, he liked a game called What Should You Do? So when he got out of the shower, he was playing that by himself in the bathroom. What should you do? And he was asking himself his own questions.
And then he
all
would
that
hop
stuff.
and move forward. And first we thought that was great because it's imagination and that's all good. But then he really was scripting it like verbatim. Like,
And then he stopped.
A, do this.
Yeah.
B, do that. C, do that. Well, we stopped playing the game with him.
We
That's
did.
what I want to point
Yeah.
out. So that's what was recommended. Maybe chill on that game because he's wanting to play it every day. So since we've taken that out of our daily routine, then that scripting has faded.
Yeah.
So that's just a tip, which is what we do on here is if we come across a
What works for
behavior,
us,
how do we
you know.
try to resolve it? And so by not mentioning that game and having
Right.
it out of sight, out of mind, that's faded out. And now we've worked, we have a new whack-a-mole behavior that's popped up. So yeah, that's our world, you take it one day at a time. You see what you're dealing with, but honestly, you hear that boy. He's so loving. He's so happy. And if we can get through another day just full of joy, Bryce thinks every day is just a fun day.
That's what we call it. Fun Monday or Fun Tuesday,
Whatever
day
day
we're
it
on.
is, we precede it with fun, and that's what he'll say. Like, today is fun Saturday, and he's ready to just play.
And tomorrow we're going to do, since tomorrow is Sunday, we're going to take his schedule board and we're going to let him pick the tiles out of the basket and make his own schedule for tomorrow. So that'll be fun to do.
Yeah,
we haven't done that yet.
It's true. One little last funny story, and then we'll wrap up. So on his visual calendar chart that he does, he calls when we go to sleep rest. It says on there rest. And so on Sunday, we tell him that's his day off. And he's like, so Monday's a day on? Yeah. Tuesday's a day on? Yeah. Da, da, da. So we say, but Sunday's our day off. What does that mean? And Chris, you said it's a day of rest because, God rested on the seventh day and he tells us that we should rest. I said, yeah, that means no team IP, which means I don't work and no school. So we're going to rest today. So he paused and he goes, I would be very sad. You can't rest. You can't rest for 20 hours. I will miss you. I need to play with you. And we're like, we're not going to rest 20 hours. He goes, you said it's the day of rest. So he thought we were going to sleep all day for 20 hours and do nothing. So, it's just that cute little literal thing, but it's like, no, so maybe we're going to change that to sleep and not rest.
He just set a timer for 1 minute. So
he just set a timer on Google
But
for
in
us.
any case, the little tile for his schedule has a picture of his bed and it says rest on it. So he thinks rest and bed means you're sleeping.
Yeah, so we're going to change that.
Yeah, we'll change that up.
That's just it. See, as a parent, you don't realize that every word you use can be played against you. So before Google timer goes off, we're going to wrap this one up because Bryce will hold us to it and he will come in here.
Yes.
So we hope you found some nuggets out of this. Thank you for listening to us.
And
For
visit
those
his,
who reached out to us.
Yeah.
Thanks. Shout out to Leah and Natalie who both reached out this week. We're so glad we're able to help you guys.
Yes.
Anybody else has questions, please just reach out to us. We love it.
And check out his Cub Scout page, www.bryce.world. And if you can support him, great.
And if not, no worries. We get it.
And we'll see you next time. Episode 48's in the books.
All right. Bye.
Bye.